Hey folks, welcome to this week's edition of BrushPile Fishing. We're in the middle of May. I'm going to be fishing with my good friend Jason Koesters on my home lake, Grand Lake St. Mary's. So you stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to BrushPile Fishing. We're at Grand Lake St. Mary's with my good friend Jason Koesters. Jason, how you doing?
Good to see you, Russ.
We're here at Grand Lake, and you know we're in the middle of the spawn, middle of May. Things are happening here. Oh, yeah. It's a fun time.
Oh yeah, the fish have been biting great all spring actually, so we should have a good day today.
You know, St. Mary's is an easy one to figure out in the spring. Yep. When the ice is off, they're on the wood, they move to the metal lifts, and right now they're on the rocks.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be on the rocks, they're gonna be uptight. Some are going to be a little bit off the rocks, so hopefully we'll catch them all throughout there today.
You know, this is a great way to bring your kids fishing because it's easy. Flip that jig up in the rocks, work it back, and wham. Hopefully we get some nice fish today.
I think we will. Should be a good day.
You ready to hit the water?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Just getting started here. There you go.
There's a nice one, Russ.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Look at
Danny.
that. Look at that crappie.
Get him in.
That is a nice crappie.
Oh.
Look at that. Whoops.
There was a hit. Look at that.
That is a nice black crappie.
Look at the tail.
Oh yeah. Right up on the rocks.
Folks, I don't know if you can see the blood there. He is working that bank. These are males that are spawned. That is a big black male. Jason, that's the way to get us started, bud.
I like it. That's a good one.
Nice fish.
That one, I mean, he buried it too. That was
There we go.
There's a good one.
Yeah. They're out of ways, aren't they?
Yeah, but then he hit it, they just...
Folks, we're just getting started here in Grand Lake St. Mary's. We're in the middle of May, and this is when the rocks really turn on, or the riprap. That's a small one there, but we are expecting to get some huge males out of here today. Jason caught the first one, and it was an absolute tow, probably a pound, maybe a pound and a quarter fish. And we're going to be talking about some things when you're fishing the rocks. There is a way to try to put a pattern together. Sometimes they're right up on that shoreline, sometimes they're off, sometimes shallow, sometimes a little bit deeper. So you've got to experiment a little bit. But when they're in this riprap, you can catch some absolute dandies. Mainly all black crappies what we're going after today. They'll be the ones working those beds in the rocks. Jason, how'd that feel to get started there?
That was a nice fish, that was fun.
You know, St. Mary's for a couple years, we had the algae problems and everything else, but I'll tell you what, it has made a tremendous comeback for the crappie fishing.
It has. The size this year has been great.
Yep. We've got 10.5 foot and 11 foot poles. We're just making nice little flips up in the rocks and then working it back. Trying to figure out where they're concentrated at. You know, Jason, one of the reasons I like fishing the rocks so much, it's not like when you're in a big thick brush where you're going to get hung up, 50 times a day and lose a bunch of jigs. It's very rare you're going to lose anything here.
Exactly.
And less time tying on means more time in the water.
Yeah.
Folks, right now I'm going to put on the jig that we're using. This is a Southern Pro crappie slug. It's not quite as big profile as a stinger shad, and with that finicky bite that I think we're going to get today, I'm going to use that. And of course, you've heard me talk about it before, but I can't hardly see to get my line through the jig head anymore, so I'll put her in the old Tie Pro, slide that through, because I can see that big hole, just like that. We got it tied on. And we are ready to go. Now, the one thing I will tell you is if I am fishing under a cork, I always tie that line tight to the jig head. I don't use a loop knot for that, and there's a reason, because I don't want that swimming real free right now. I want it a little bit more subtle. And that jig, when I pop that cork, that'll give it the movement I want, and then I want it basically to stand still. But again, with that Tie Pro, it sure helps me tie that on a little bit quicker. Now let's get on the water. Take it. There we go.
There's a nice
one. A little
one.
bit bigger, but not a bad one. Not a bad fish at all. We'll take him. Love the color. When these things have their tuxedos on, they are as dark and pretty as they can be. These are all blacks we've caught so far. You don't see any distinctive lines, but just another good keeper fish right there. Pretty turquoise on the back too. Nice fish. One of the things, I don't know if the cameraman can see this, but you see the rocks come into the water, but they'll actually come out on a slope, and they're underneath there too. That slopes down, and that's where a lot of these fish are coming from. That's why if you don't get them right up on the bank, work that jig off a little bit.
There's a little.
Definitely all males in here so far. One of the things that I like fishing, of course, are aluminum lifts. But when they're in the rocks, it doesn't get much funner than that.
It's probably my favorite way to fish St. Mary's is just pitching the rocks like this. Like you said, you don't lose a lot of baits, and you catch a lot of nice fish doing this pattern. There's one right there. That's another nice fish.
He's staying down there.
That's a nice crappie. Oh my.
Oh, yes.
That is a hog.
Look at here, folks.
Look at that crappie.
And that's why we're anchored down right now. That's two big ones out of the same little pocket.
Look at that one. That's a nice.
Beautiful fish.
They're healthy, thick.
Look at the belly on that thing.
Yeah. And they worked that tail over.
There we go. They're definitely up here at this end, aren't they?
Yep. More towards the mouth of this cove.
You know, folks, we talked about fishing the rocks, but then finding out where they're at in the rocks, whether it's one little piece of brush or a point. These fish are just starting to move into rocks, so they're coming in, they're at the mouth of this channel.
There's another one.
There's another one. And the further back the channel we got, the less the hits were. So everything's up here right now, just coming in. So this is where we're going to concentrate most of our time.
There was two within about a 10-foot section right there of rocks.
And once we got halfway down, we never caught a fish.
No.
You know, another thing we talked before, when you're flipping a long pole, you should get to the point where you can flip it exactly where you want it to be. But in this style fishing, when they're off these rocks, it doesn't matter because there's so much area here and different cover with the rocks that you can pretty well flip anywhere and have just as good a chance of getting one. Sometimes you'll see it takes something just a little bit different, maybe one piece of brush in the rocks that'll hold a big concentration. If that's the case, then you've got to pinpoint it. But like right now, these fish are kind of scattered on the rocks, so just flip it out anywhere and you've got just as good a chance as catching one. I'll try to stay back off this so we can work it out a ways.
There you go, Russ.
There we go. Oh, not a bad one. Not bad at all. Gosh, look how dark. And again, they're all at the mouth of this channel.
Yep.
Another nice fish there. Beautiful, beautiful color. You know, Jason, during the spring, St. Mary's is pretty predictable. Early on, when that ice is out, they're going to be on a lot of wood, brush piles. As the water warms up, they'll move to the aluminum lifts. But then right as spring really kicks into gear, the water warms up, the rocks and actually cement walls, you can almost, it's like clockwork pattern where the fish will be.
It's where they're moving in, you know, they do their spawn and they're always right up along, like you said, right up along the seawalls or just off the rocks.
Yep. We're in the middle of May right now. And this is actually the first week that they've really moved in the rocks here this year. We were getting them up to last week on aluminum lifts real well. But even on the lifts, real nice, healthy fish.
A couple little sticks off the rocks. There's one, Russ. That might not be a bad fish.
That's a good fish.
That's a real good fish. That is a good, oh my.
Is that a crappie?
That's a nice crappie.
Whew, another black.
Full color there.
Another black.
Look at the colors on that one, Russ. It's definitely the time.
Mid-spawn.
It's a good black crappie.
We talked about these little corks. Today's one of the days, if you had the bigger one on, you're not going to see a lot of these bites.
Nope. Nice thing is, though, we know back here, especially from some of them larger fish we caught, at any time you could get a, pound plus fish. So.
Yep. And there's enough of them here just to keep your interest.
Yeah. There's one.
Look at that
A little bit
fight.
better one. He jumped right out of the water. It's a keeper size fish.
Yep.
Man, they are just black. Look at the mouth around that, how black he is.
Pretty fish. Right after the spawn too, they do lose that color.
Yep.
They lose it almost like a white color.
Yeah, you got a couple weeks, window here on St. Mary's where we'll be on these rocks, and then all of a sudden, they move back out and lose that color. Folks, what I'm using today is a 12-foot Richard Williams B&M rod. I know Russ, I believe, is using his 10.5-foot Signature Series rod. The other thing we're using today is this Southern Pro crappie stinger, and Russ is using the Southern Pro crappie slug as well. The other thing I always use is a high-vis line, makes it a little bit easier to see. This is the 6-pound Gamma line. All we're doing is tying it underneath the cork about 1.5 feet, 2 foot deep, sometimes a little deeper, and pulling it back off these rocks to catch these fish today. So this seems to be the trick to get the crappie to bite today. I know you've taken your boy out and fished these rocks because it's some easy fishing, and it's one of the better places to bring people to fish because you're not going to lose too many jigs, and they're going to have fun catching fish.
The Greater Grand Lake region is not just a great place to catch crappie, it is a fun vacation destination for the whole family. Grand Lake St. Mary's is Ohio's largest inland lake with 13,500 acres. There's plenty of room for boating, fishing, tubing, and skiing. Enjoy bird watching or a picnic along the shores of this beautiful lake. There are more than a dozen restaurants, clubs, and bars with lake access for plenty of good food, fun, and entertainment. Grand Lake St. Mary's also boasts 2 dog parks, 3 lighthouses, 7 marinas, 9 public launch ramps, and numerous campgrounds, cottages, and hotels. While in the area, explore the Armstrong Air and Space Museum, step back in time at historic Fort Recovery, take a ride down Memory Lane at the Bicycle Museum, appreciate the peace and beauty of the Maria Stein Relic Shrine, or take a stroll along the Miami-Erie Canal. The region also boasts plenty of hiking and biking paths, great restaurants, and fun and unique shopping. To get more information on visiting West Ohio's Greater Grand Lake region, check out seymour.org.
Fish are actually fairly shallow today on the rocks. A lot of times I'm fishing, a couple feet deep or more on these rocks, but it seems like they're a little higher up today.
Yeah, they are. There we go.
Nice one.
That's a nice fish. Oh, Lord, that's a nice fish.
That's what we're looking for right there.
Oh, my goodness.
You got him, Russ?
Yep. Look at there, folks.
That is a nice fish.
Again, this little pocket right off the mouth is holding the big fish and the numbers. Wow. That's a 13.5-inch fish right there, easy.
That's a big black crappie. Now that one don't have as much color as those other ones, but it's got more size.
Nice fish. You want to kiss him? You want to kiss me?
Nice fish, Russ. About time.
There's another nicer one.
Out a little
Look
bit
at there. Oh, Lordy.
That is a nice fish.
Woo! St. Mary's springtime. Jason, we were talking about the lake making a comeback. In all reality, too, I think what has helped, the state put on a limit, size and numbers.
Yep.
Used to be people were taking anything they could get, and then no one fished here for years.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you what, it needed that because now Mother Nature's kind of taking over.
Yeah.
And beautiful fish.
It's been one of the best springs I can remember of size-wise out of this lake.
Yep.
I said you went a little deeper on that one, didn't you? Off the bank. I
last
seen it.
2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've noticed that they've. He was out a little bit further too.
I figure that sunshine, they might move off the bank because there's not a whole lot of shade up there for them.
Well, the smaller ones there seem to be up close. At least now, but I dropped mine down a little bit just to see if it would help a little bit.
A lot of these where that rock comes out and then stops, you can almost feel where the jig drops off of that.
Yep.
And that's where they seem to be.
I'm bigger crappie today though. They've all just kind of hit it and go very slow taking it down.
Super slow.
You got to really let them take it. It's like you said, that smaller cork definitely helps for that.
Yeah, because if they feel much resistance, I can see them, you know, stopping, and you're not going to know you have that bite. When I'm fishing under a cork, I like to tie my line tight to the jig head. Normally I like a loop knot, but if I'm using that cork to control the motion, I want that cinch tight. It's just something that's always seemed to work, especially with, you know, these smaller corks that we like to use. You know, we talked about what time of year we're in. We're in the middle of May. Water temperature right now is about 68 degrees, so it's prime for these crappie. And it's going to be good for the next several weeks like this in these rocks.
They'll move in and out, you know, depending on the cold front. You know, we had one a couple days ago, but when it starts warming up like this, they definitely move in on these rocks.
And you know, it's a good sign for us. We know now they're just starting to come in the way they're positioned today. Because when they're in here thick, you can work this whole shoreline and just have a ball. There was one.
There he is, down deep.
Little one.
I think that's a nice crappie.
Not bad at all.
I went a little deeper and I think that's what happened. That's a nice crappie there.
Big dark one.
Look at that color. That's a beautiful St. Mary's crappie. It's got some definitely coming in for spawn, aren't they? That's a nice fish.
This episode of BrushPile Fishing is brought to you by Southern Pro Tackle, B&M Poles, Gamma Fishing Line, Driftmaster Rod Holders, Ego Nets, Tie Pro Tying Tools, Buckeye Ford, and BrushPile Fish Attractants.
There's one, Russ. That's a nice one.
Oh, that's another nice one. Look at there. Of course, he's only a pound fish.
It's a good keeper fish on St. Mary's there this year. Look at that color.
That is, what, 3/4 to close to a pound, but we've caught some so much bigger that it's been awesome.
Still thick, nice color. Definitely ready for spawn. I mean, I probably went down another foot, 2 foot, foot and a half, and just off the rocks. You know, like you said, there's still rocks down there. But when that sun gets real high, sometimes like that, them fish will drive down even deeper.
You know, and if there's one mistake I see a lot of locals make, most of the time you can fish 18 inches here and you're going to catch fish.
Yep.
But it's like pulling teeth to get them to go deeper sometimes. Folks, earlier I talked a little bit about if I'm fishing a jig under a cork, I like to secure that line tight to the jig head as opposed to a loop knot. The one thing that you do want to look out for, as you can see right now, that jig is going straight down from the line. The one pain in the butt on this is every so many cast or every fish, you want to take that line and pull it back towards that hook. And that's going to keep that more horizontal in the water. You don't want it straight up and down. So just something little like that can make a huge difference. There's another one. Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah, Jason, that's a nice fish.
Yep.
That is
that's
a
what
nice
we're looking
one.
for.
There we go.
Oh my.
Look at there.
Good thing you got him in the boat.
Look at there. Oh yes. But he's a counter. You know, you were talking earlier, how would you like to be in a tournament today and have some of these fish here?
We got several of them that'd be definitely tournament quality fish.
Look at that. Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show here in Grand Lake, St. Mary's, my home lake. Jason, we have had a ball fishing the rocks today.
It was a great time. Caught some real nice fish today. You know, several over a pound. and also some decent keeper fish as well.
You know, and that's the one thing, we caught anything from 7.5-inch fish up to the bigger ones.
Yep.
We've had several good hatches, and that tells me that this lake is going to be good for several years, and that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, it's definitely coming back. I mean, it's been good all spring, so.
Well, Bud, we fish a lot together, and I appreciate you joining us for the show today.
Thank you, Russ. Great time.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned, because we'll be back next week with BrushPile Fishing.